In this video, we will use another way of making decisions in your program. The switch statement allows you to use an ordinal value to determine how a program will branch, and the switch statement can evaluate an integer type or a character type variable and make decisions based on that value. In IntelliJ, we've got the following coding, so just quickly evaluate this coding. We've started off with declaring a variable called number. It is of type integer. Then we get an input from the user, please enter 1, 2, or 3, and then the user type 1, 2, or 3. As text, it will be saved into input because it's declared as a string. And then we convert that text to a number, which is an integer, and save it back to the number variable. And then we can test that variable. We can check if the number is 1, we print out you entered 1. Else, if the number is 2, we print out you entered 2. If the number is 3, it's going to say you entered 3. If you didn't type 1, 2, or 3, it will go to the else and it will print out you did not enter 1, 2, or 3. And because we are using JOptionPane, we just add this one line of coding, system.exit, to make sure that our programs exits a bit faster. So let's just run this one quickly. So I'm going to enter a 1 there, and then it will just tell me you entered 1. If I run it again, and I enter a 2 there, it will say you entered 2. If I say a 3 there, it will say that you entered 3. But if I do not type a 1, a 2, or a 3, let's just type something else there, like a 6, for example, it will tell me you did not enter 1, 2, or 3. So let's replace this whole part there with something else now, which we call the switch statement. So the switch statement, basically you started with the word switch there, the keyword in Java called switch, and then you pass in either a number variable, so like for example an integer, that could be a byte or a short or a long or a normal int like we've got here, and then you can also pass in characters to test. So we'll look at another example where we place in some characters there. So now if I want to do the exact same thing as the if statements there, I could say, let me use the keyword case there, and I'm going to say case 1, which means that if the user enters a 1, or if the number is a 1, it will go to whatever I do here directly after that colon. So in this case, we're just going to use a JOptionPane again and show a message dialog. First argument, the null. Second argument, what is your text that you want to display? So we want to do the same as the example that we just basically executed. So that would be you entered 1. Right, and that is case 1. And then after a case, we will need to use the break statement. If you don't add a break statement, it will just carry on to the next case. So now I'm going to say case 2. That's basically the same as saying if it's a 2, what are we going to do then? Then again, we're going to use the JOptionPane dot show message dialog, and we're going to say you entered 2, and then we place the break statement again. Right, so after that one, we will have case 3. That's the same as asking if it is a 3 that was entered there in the number variable. Then we're going to show the message dialog again, null, and we're going to say you entered 3. And then we break again. Right, so now we've got case 1, 2, and 3. If it's a 1, we're going to print out you entered 1. If it's a 2, we're going to print out you entered 2, and if it's a 3, we're going to print out you entered 3. So now the default one, that is basically the else, the last else at the bottom will be default. So if it's not a 1, a 2, or a 3, it will go to the default one, and we will print out show message dialog, and we're going to say you did not enter. Let me just go to a new line for this one. You did not enter a 1, 2, or a 3. And then that is basically our switch statement. So the switch statement starts off with the keyword switch. You pass in either an integer data type, which is short, long, byte, or integer, or you can pass in a character variable there. So it basically uses an ordinal value, which is a number value. So it's either characters or it is integers. Then you test for your specific case. In this case, we're testing for a 1, and then after the 1, the colon. Everything between the colon and your break statement there basically will be executed for case 1. Now, if we do not add a break statement there, so if I leave out the break statement, it will basically go, let's say you entered a 1, it will go to the 1 there and sees, okay, it should print out you entered 1. But then if it doesn't break, it will automatically execute case 2 as well. So it will continue executing the cases until it gets the break statement. So that's why it's important for you to add a break statement. We'll see an example now when working with characters where we can actually leave out the break statement and it still works. So now let's quickly run this switch statement. So that's where we ask, please enter 1, 2, or 3. So I'm going to enter 1 there, and you can see it says you entered 1. The same as the if statements that we just had. And then for the second one, case 2, we can enter a 2 there, and it will print out you entered 2. For case 3, we will use 3 there, and you can see you entered 3. Now let's try the last one for the default option there, where we do not enter a 1, a 2, or a 3. So we're going to pass in a 6 there, and it says you did not enter a 1, a 2, or a 3. So the default there will be like the else in the if statements, and these are the conditions that you test for. So we're testing for a 1, a 2, or a 3. If it's not a 1, a 2, or a 3, we will go to the default one and just print out. So you can also do a break statement at the end of the default, but because default is the last option that you've got in your switch, it will actually exit the switch after that. So you don't need to put a break statement after your default statement. So let's try another example now here, where we're working a bit with characters. So I'm going to declare a character called letter, and then we're going to ask the user. So I'm going to use that same input that we declared at the top. So we declared string input there at the top to get whatever the user types. So we're going to say, or replace that input now by asking the user dot show input dialog, and we're going to ask the user, please enter A, B, or C. So we ask the user to enter a letter of the alphabet to make a specific choice. Now, if we want to convert now, because if we ask the user, please enter A, B, or C, and that gets saved now as a string, that's not a character. So again, we can't just say letter equals whatever the user typed. We need to convert that letter now, or that input from the user now, to a letter. So how do we convert that? Basically, we don't convert, but we take a specific character inside of the string that the user typed. So obviously, if the user is going to type just an A, a B, or a C, it will be the very first character from the whole string called input that we want to get there. So we're going to basically say input dot, and there's a character at method, char at method, that accepts an index value in your string to extract. So we're going to say character at 0 there, which means that, let's take an example. Let's say the user typed Peter. In this case, he won't type Peter. He will type an A, a B, or a C, or maybe something else. But if he types Peter, and I'm saying input dot character at 0, it means it's the very first character. If I say, well, in this case, it will extract the P then. If I say character at 1, it's going to go from 0 to 1, which will extract the E. So the way that your strings are basically constructed are from characters counting from 0 up until wherever your characters go. So it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I say 4 there, it will extract 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will extract the R there. So in this case, we do not have a whole word that the user entered there, but he types just an A, a B, or a C. So it will be the very first character, or character at position 0. Right, so we've got the letter then that the user typed. That will be saved now, coming from input, whatever the user typed, at the position 0. And now we've got the letter. Let's go into the switch statement quickly. We can pass in the letter. And now we can start with the first case. So the first case will be a character A. If I test for the character A, then I'm going to say JOption pane dot show message dialog. And in this case, first null, and then the second argument, you you entered A. And then we're going to break. Okay, so the first case there, I'm testing for a character. So remember, it's not the double quotation mark, it's the single quotation mark. Then if you go to case B there, let's use the J option pane again there. We're going to say show a message dialog there, null again for the first argument, and the second argument, you entered, or let's say just B. You entered B, and then we break again. And then for the last case there, we will say case C. And then for case C, it's also going to be J option pane. Show message dialog, null for the first argument, and the second argument will be you entered C. Right, and then we can add the default there. So just before the default, let's add a break statement there. And then have the default. And for the default, we will just print out null for the first argument. Second argument will be you did not. Let me just take that also to a new line. You did not enter let's say correct value. Okay, so this is the case then. We accept the letter of the alphabet. We test it for the A, the B, or the C. And then we print out you entered A, you entered B, or you entered C. And then we will print out you did not enter a correct value. So I'm going to run this quickly now. I'm not going to test every single value there. So remember, the first one will still run. So I'm going to say a 1, and then it says you entered 1. And now it asks me for enter A, B, or C. So let me enter a B there, and it will print out you entered B. Okay, so let's try something else there. If we don't enter a B, or a C, let's enter, okay, just a 1 there again. Let's enter a D there, for example. You did not enter a correct value. So it seems as if the switch statement is working correctly. But what if the user enter, let's just use a 1 again there. Let's say the user enters the capital letter A or the uppercase letter A, and I'm saying, okay, there it says you did not enter a correct value. So this is where it comes in, where we can actually use the break statement to help us a bit to get the correct value that we want. So in this case, I'm going to say case, and then I'm going to add an uppercase A there as well. But you can see after that case, I do not use a break statement. I just leave it as it is, which means that if it's an uppercase A, it will go into it. There's no break statement. So it will go into the lowercase a, then print out you entered A, and then break. So this is a way where we can use or check for uppercase or a lowercase. So I'm going to use the uppercase B there as well. And for C, I'm going to use the uppercase C as well. So now whether it's an uppercase A or a lowercase a, it will print out you entered A. If it's a lowercase or an uppercase B, it will print out you entered B and then break. And if it's a lowercase or an uppercase C, it will print out you entered C and then break. So let's just test it out quickly. So I'm just going to enter a 1 there again. Now let's try a capital letter A or an uppercase A, and it will still say you entered A, which is fine. So this is how we can use then the switch statement with all its different cases and break statements. And remember, wherever you put the break statement, it will go out of that option and it will basically exit your switch. So sometimes it makes sense to have your case without a break, and sometimes it must be there. For example, if we just take out this break statement there, what will happen if I enter the 1? Because there's no break there, it will print out you entered 1 and go directly to case 2 and also say you entered 2 before it breaks. So let's just test this one out quickly. So if I enter a 1 now without the break, it will print out you entered 1 and directly after that you entered 2. And then it gives me the choice for the A, B, or C. So remember, most of the cases we will use the break statement. For some specific cases like this one, you can leave out your break statement and it will still work exactly like you want. That is it for this video. See you in the next one.